Everybody. Thank you for joining us. I am Torie Ellens. I run a team, the Ellens team here at my home group. I'm very excited. Yep. Make sure everybody's on mute because it's going to disrupt the class and it'll give us a bunch of feedback. So is everybody on mute? Just double check that. Again, if you have questions, let me know in the chat and we can get you answered there. So like I was saying today, we're talking about the virtual world. As we all know, things have changed drastically from the way we show to the way we list properties, what the clients are wanting us to do. One of the things that I have geared all of my social videos and media around is basically letting people know that we're here for them. We're here to make them feel safe. When showing, there's so many practices that I really just rely on that client to tell me what their comfort level is. And based around that, I can make sure that myself and my agents take care of them. So when we talk about this slideshow that I'm going to be sharing with you guys, remember this is geared towards the client. We've created this because in the event that I'm taking a listing appointment or working with a new buyer and I'm going to be doing a buyer consult, the very first thing I want to touch with them is that we're here to do this for you virtually if that's what you prefer. We also specialize a lot with relocation and second home buying. So this is not new to me. FaceTime showings and selling houses over the phone has been something I've done for years. It's just ironic how now that has been taken to a whole new level. So one of the first few clients years ago that I did a FaceTime showing with and they purchased, I remember telling them that 19 years ago when I got into real estate, I would have never dreamed that not only were phones not the size of a brick, but that now I could show and sell a home over one. I've had several properties that I've closed and the clients never stepped foot in them until after they got their keys and were able to move to the area. So this isn't new to us. This is just something now that's obviously at a whole new level. So let's go ahead and get started. We're first going to be talking about if you're gearing yourself towards the buyer side, okay? So let me get into the first slide here. So when we talk about a virtual consult, I believe heavily, and again, guys, I'm going to be coaching you through maybe some practices that I do with my team that I have found to be very successful, not just the virtual side of it, but what helps alongside of doing it, certain practices virtually. So we'll go ahead and put up this virtual buyer consult slide. And one of the things that I like to do with every buyer is I like to make sure that they understand what they're doing. I believe all too often agents are so quick to just go show a home and the buyer gets to the point where they don't know kind of the next steps and the processes. So I believe heavily in a buyer consult. Outside of a virtual one, I do them regularly. But when it comes to the, hold on one second, somebody, I think it's Sarah's, keeps screen sharing for some reason. Okay, there we go. So when it comes to that virtual buyer consult, what we're going to do is we're going to go over that same process with them, and we have slideshows created around our virtual buyer consult. During the virtual consult, what we talk about is the steps. And what I tell my buyers is, listen, I'm going to give you an overview of the process of buying a home in Arizona. Remember, even if they're not first-time home buyers, they could be first-time Arizona home buyers. So you want to go over the process of buying a home in Arizona. It is vastly different from states that people move from. And again, if they're first-time buyers, and maybe even if they're seasoned buyers, I still like to talk about that process because it may have been many years. And in that, we talk about the initial steps of meeting with me and meeting with an agent and talking about their likes, their desires, their dreams, what are your goals in home ownership. And then we talk about their financials. Did you get with a lender? I believe, again, that, everybody's time is very valuable. And now more than ever, people aren't wanting you in their properties unless you have qualified buyers. So getting them qualified and talking about setting up with a lender, and then the steps of the process of home buying and walking them through the overview. I also tell my people along every step, hey, don't forget, we're talking about overview right now, but I will remind you as we hit key milestones, such as inspections, and I'll remind you of what's coming up next. So I think starting with that virtual buyer consult, and again, if you're gonna be doing it virtually, go ahead and make sure you've got a slideshow of your buyer consult, because when I meet with them in person, I've actually got the consult paperwork that I bring in to review with them. The next, again, after that buyer consult, we're going to talk with them about your home favorites. So we'll get you set up on a custom home search, make sure we're notifying you of all the listings that fit exactly what you're looking for. We have an app. We also have a portal through, as you guys do, the Flex site, but also through our website, they've got a way to go ahead and notify us of their favorites. So when I'm talking to clients about that, again, for instance, if they're an FHA loan and you're sending them conventional, we try to really get customized with our searches and make sure that they understand not only are we monitoring the search daily, but we're sending them properties that fit what they're looking for. And again, we use a couple of different things. We use our website, we use MLS, but then we also have an app. So I think it's important to really go over with the clients what their goals, and it's really easy to ask somebody, oh, you want a 3-bedroom, 2-bath? Well, come on, anybody can say that. What are you looking for? What lifestyle do you want? That's something I really hone in on. What are the things that when you're at home are, Arizona's big for outdoor living. Is that something you want? A great backyard? Even if they're talking about their first home and we're talking about a condo, you want to find the things that they're looking for. Do they need to be around bus lines? Do they need to be near their work? Find all of the things and then hone in on that search and really show them that you're the market expert, not just sending them random properties. So the next step is going to be virtual showings. And Kelly, I keep getting a green screen on here and it's looking like it's from Sarah. I'm not sure why, but unless we're screen sharing, it's just showing the green. I don't know if that's something you can fix. But anyhow, so we've been looking, they've been watching property searches. And again, even if people are a couple months out, one of the things that I like to emphasize is even if, let's say, somebody tells me they're 6 months out, one of the things I tell them is, look, let's get you go ahead and start a search now, because we may want to start looking 2 to 3 months out. But prior to that, I want you to be able to watch the market. And in doing so, when you're watching the market, that's going to give you an education on what properties are going for. I think possibly many of you have heard the things that I'm hearing, which is, oh, properties are dropping. Properties are going to drop with all of this. And I'm going to tell you that the best thing you can do is have data, okay? One of the data that I've been sharing just recently is that in April, 27% of the properties sold above list price. That's data. If I have an opinion, that's just something that doesn't hold much weight. But if I can back up facts and data to my clients, I become a knowledgeable market expert, somebody they want to listen to. Kelly, are you seeing what I'm seeing? You're okay? Okay. It's just my computer, I guess. Never mind. So I want you guys to, again, with what I tell my team is I want them to be market experts. Have data and facts to back that up. One of the things I've been doing since this whole thing began is every Monday I've been shooting out a video that my team shares, and we send it to all of our active clients, all of our past clients, everybody in our database. And what we do is we basically give them the numbers. These are your active, these are your pending, these are your closed, and I'm walking them through what's happening. The other thing I've been educating people on is, remember, this is not the market crash that it was years back, right? We had a surplus of inventory. Now we're at a shortage. There's so many different facts that you should be educating your clients on to give them peace of mind and getting them moving forward. So once we get to the point where we're ready to look, virtual showings. There's a couple different apps that you can use. FaceTime obviously is very easy, but some of the clients aren't going to have that. So Zoom is one of them. You can put on your phone. Marco Polo is something that's pretty amazing. It's actually an app that you can record the video and play it back so the client can watch it again and again and again. Also too, if you want to use different things so you're not shaking and the phone's moving all over the place, remember that if you're virtually showing real time, there's someone on the other end of that. You do not want them getting nauseous trying to look at a home. Make sure you're moving slower than normal, right? I think it's very easy when we have someone with us that we're all, okay, here's this, walking them through the features. That's the other thing, when I'm walking someone through, I get to learn what their important feature is in the home. If it's the backyard, I start in the backyard. If it's, the kitchen, we start in the kitchen. And I try to walk them through the home in the order that they kind of are favoriting and what their lifestyle is catered towards. But make sure that you have the proper equipment prior. Don't show up and just pop your phone open and quickly rush them through. Make sure that your equipment works. The other thing you've got to watch is if the signal is low where you're showing, you're not going to be able to get on FaceTime or features like that, and it's going to glitch and cut out. So there's many others, but that Marco Polo is one that we really like because, again, you can pause it and free play, and the clients can really get an interactive experience. Okay, which list? Are we wanting the Marco Polo one? We'll share that one more time, but if you guys miss anything, I'm here. We can help. We can give you some of these tips. I can give you guys my cell phone at the end, but I am absolutely available to answer any questions you may have. So the other thing that we're going to cover, right? We've looked at homes. We now find the home that we like. What's the next step? Signing your documents. Now, if you guys have not switched over to Transaction Desk, I would highly recommend you do it. I was kind of stuck in the DocuSign error and loving it. I've gotten very good at Transaction Desk. It does eventually, once you get comfortable with it, make the process so much smoother for you guys with getting documents signed and adjusted. But we're going to give them the ability to electronically sign. Now, guys, listen, that's been what we've practiced, right? This is nothing new. But believe it or not, there's still people out there that ask me when I have to bring them over their documents to sign. So emphasizing to them that everything is electronically done. Even if I'm not talking about a virtual world, I bring that up to my clients in the beginning. The other thing I highly recommend you do is you get them a copy of a example contract. Because the first time, and this is what I tell my clients, the first time I want you seeing these documents is not when you've got 5 minutes to sign them because I'm up against a multiple offer and I've got to get that offer over. So I get them a copy of the contract right in that initial consult. And I tell them, I don't need you to be my expert in real estate. That's what I'm there for. I don't need you to be a market expert. That's what I'm there for. I'm going to get you comps. I'm going to go over them with you. But I want you to at least have eyes on the things you're going to be signing. So we talk about the fact that I'm going to get them electronic documents and how they'll be signing them. Obviously, we're not going to talk about, this slide is giving an overview. But one of the overviews I like to give them is the fact that inspections. So when it's inspection time, we are going to make it possible for you to not have to physically be at the home inspection. And again, that's more common than you realize, especially when you've got relocation and second home buyers. So when I'm with the inspector, what I'm doing is I'm just basically being there in lieu of them physically being there. We send them the report before we actually pull them up on the phone and talk with them. And then we go through the report just as if we would as if they were there. And they're looking at the photos, they're talking about everything. And we're basically answering all their questions as if they were there. And if I have to pop them on one of the, again, virtual, apps or on FaceTime or whatever it is, we'll make sure to do that. After the inspection, obviously, is the appraisal. And I tell them, the appraisal, you wouldn't typically be there anyhow. So that's handled. And then the next thing we're going to be talking about is once we've made it through that entire process, closing. Different title companies have enacted different requirements. Sometimes if it's, cash transactions, sometimes they don't even need to have a notary sign. But if a notary is required, I would encourage you to check with the title company you partner with and make sure you get how they're handling. I know the title company that I work with, we're still handling notaries to my client's house. And again, most of my clients have felt that's more controlled and safe because they can wipe the surfaces, they can do all those sort of things. So just letting them know that that can happen electronically as well. And then the next thing is we're going to give them the keys, right? Day of closing. And again, we've talked about all this, but when it comes to day of closing and getting them the keys, we even offer to deliver it to the clients. Now, when we do the final walkthrough, we've done that virtually for many clients. So again, putting them on the FaceTime or the app or whatever, so that way they physically see the home and sign off on that final walk is in my opinion, imperative. But when it comes to the keys, we're going to give those to you. We will bring them to you, whether it be at your home. If you're out of town, we will make sure they are FedEx tracked and all those other things. And whatever the client is most comfortable with, we're going to do that. So that's basically the home buying and how we're doing that virtual setup. Now, for your equipment and programs, let me put this slide up for you one more time. If you guys want to, again, if you don't catch this right away. I'm going to give you a few minutes here, but these are the different apps, equipment, and programs, and they're in order as such. So the apps are on the top. And these are just a few, guys. There's so many out there, but these are the few that we have found to be a little bit better. The equipment is below that. And then that new GoPro, if you guys don't have it, we've purchased a ton of, I've apparently become very good at buying different cameras and equipments and all these different items that help what we do. So the new GoPro is amazing. It's got 360-degree views with it. The Matterport camera is great, and you guys can do that. But there's also, gimbals and different things too to help you keep stable when you're holding your phone. Again, you are professionals, right? You are real estate professionals. Please make sure you're letting your clients feel that. If I am doing a showing and my phone's all over the place and it's moving and it's cutting in and out, clients aren't going to have much confidence, number one, in my ability to be virtual, and number two, in my ability to get them through this transaction strong, right? So that's something I think is really important. Before I go on, do you guys have any questions on the buying side? And we are watching this. We'll just keep this slide up for a few more minutes. Is there any questions I can answer on that buy side, or anything about the process and how we do it? All right, I think we're good. All right, let's get back out of that. And so now we're going to talk about sellers, right? And the selling side is a little different than it used to be. I've got some sellers that absolutely want us to have booties, and they want gloves, and they want sanitizer. I even have some that want an agent present from our team at every showing, so that way we can sanitize and wipe down any surfaces. And then you've got other sellers who just, they don't care. They're good. They've got their practices in place. So again, what I'd encourage you to do is have that discussion with the seller and find out what the seller is concerned with. What is the seller's needs? What do they want? How can you customize your approach to them personally? So our first slide with the home selling in a virtual world, this is what, again, if I have a seller that says, hey, we really want to do everything virtually as much as possible. When we have to do showings, we want you there. We want you sanitizing. We get to that. But this is the first slide that I would show the seller here, is just that home selling in a virtual world. Again, I'm trying to minimize that exposure of meeting with them if that's what they're not comfortable with. And these are the slides that I would use in a meeting such as this, to where we're doing it one-on-one, and they can read it and we can discuss it as we go. So when we talk about valuation, that's easy. That can be done completely virtually or in person. Now, if they want in person, typically what I've done is, if I've had somebody pretty scared about people in their home, what I'll do is I will do as much as I can over the computer, get them all the comparables. We'll talk about all that. And then on my visit, again, I'm going to bring sanitizer. I'm going to wipe everything and minimally touch what's needed, just so I can put eyes on the property. And I haven't had anybody that's been, uncomfortable to where that wasn't sufficient. So again, we talk about everything up front. If you're doing that in person, that's a different scenario. You can bring the computer with you. But what I have mainly seen is that most of my clients, even if they're comfortable with normal showings and such, most of them are more comfortable doing a over the phone consult, doing the comparables and looking at the things that are going to put valuation on their home without me physically seeing it until the very end, right when we're ready to determine the exact price. Again, we talk about electronic documents, right? Same thing. Everything is going to be sent to them electronically. That's pretty simple. And then when we talk about the professional photography, so the photographers, and even when we talk about the buy-side home inspectors, each of these companies has absolutely enacted their own set of standards to be compliant with the CDC guidelines. And I am personally sending them over my photographer statement of what they're doing to keep that home safe, protected, and the client protected. So I would encourage you, if we use professional services for all of our listings, I would encourage you to get those guidelines and get them over to the client so that way they can review and they feel comfortable. If there's something in those guidelines they see that they're not comfortable with, correct it. again, you're their go-to. You are their protector. That is something that I create heavily around, you know, our process, is that I want our clients to know that we are there to take care of them. It is our job to not only protect them through the real estate transaction, but in times like this, to do all we can to protect the safety of their home, especially when it's occupied, right? When we talk about vacant, it's a whole different story. But even at that, I mean, we're still doing open houses, and we're just making sure that we're protecting the consumer and our clients by wiping, sanitizing, and really taking things to another level. And again, when you start talking about the practices of our professionals, the client's going to tell you what they want. If they say they want masks, if they say, then it's your job to get that. And if you can't sufficiently do that, I would recommend you don't take the listing. Because what the last thing you want to do is get a client who feels uncomfortable that their home is being jeopardized or that their safety is, right? So you want to do everything that they, even if you think it's ridiculous, and trust me, there's been some things that I have in showings lately that I just kind of thought, okay, even on vacant homes, but we got to do what we got to do. That's just the time we're in. And again, the entire experience customized really around the client. So getting them over the practices of your photographer, I think, is crucial. On this part of it, I'm going to talk about the marketing we do, right? Because what sets us apart as a team, and I cover the different platforms of marketing. I would encourage you guys, we have specific slides for our marketing. I would encourage you to show them what sets you apart. How am I going to sell your home and meet all of your goals and what you're trying to get accomplished the best possible way? How can I set myself apart from all the other agents that you've either talked to or are interviewing? And that's where I talk about marketing, right? So we've talked about the level of service. We will cover the marketing. You can make these slides as in-depth as you would like, but we talk about specifically for my slides, we talk about the specific marketing we do and how we are different and what sets us apart. Just checking, we're good. Checking for questions, making sure. I tend to go a little fast, so if I'm going too fast, go ahead and chat me over and say, hey, slow down a second. That's the downside of a high A personality who just is like, let's get after this. So again, with your marketing, talk about all the things you do that set you apart. And then virtual open houses and virtual home tours. So I'm going to tell you from our research, what we have done personally. Virtual open houses have not been a huge success. What we are finding more success in is taking videos as if it was an open house, a virtual walkthrough essentially, getting that up on the sites, but then also target marketing those. So YouTube, social, getting the people to actually be able to see the home and then target marketing with those videos. So putting them on Facebook and doing ads geared around it, putting them on Instagram. Now, I'm not going to get into all of that because that is not my specialty. My assistant handles all of that. But I can tell you that we absolutely have found more success with doing those virtual walkthroughs compared to the responses we're getting from virtual open houses. We've done them. I wouldn't say that they're bad. It's just another gun in the bullet for you, right? It's just one more thing in your arsenal. I think that the thing that you can do most is make sure that you're covering all bases. So I don't think that they're bad. The other thing I can tell you is if you're comfortable with open houses right now, we are seeing massive success with open houses. If your client's comfortable and you're comfortable doing them, we are seeing more parties through than normal. I think that people that are out there are a more serious buyer. And so I think that a little bit, maybe they're still crazy, but they're more serious. I liken them to the buyers around the holidays. And if any of you guys stay busy during the holidays like we do, you'll know that the buyers that are active during the holidays are not out there just looky-loo. They're out there because they've got to find a property. And that's what I'm really seeing similar to this time frame, is that the buyers that are out there are very serious. I know we're a premier agent with Zillow, so we get a ton of leads from them. And those phone lines have just been crazy. But we're also seeing that too on all of our personal marketing. So if you're comfortable with open houses and your client's comfortable with them, I would encourage you to do those as normal, obviously taking the precautions, but virtual open houses and those virtual home tours would be something that I say are one of the best thing to do. Again, I've seen just better from there. So then I also go over at that time, I also go over with the sellers, the inspections. And I'm going to, once again, why recreate the system? The inspection company has already done that for me. So I'm going to take all of their material. I'm going to present it to the seller. I'm going to say, this is what my home inspectors do. I don't know who the buyer's home inspector is going to be, but I know that most home inspectors are very similar to these guidelines. But what I can promise you, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, is that when we get a contract, and I know the moment who that inspector is going to be, I'm going to get a copy of those guidelines just like these, and I'm going to get them over to you for your review. And if there's anything you're not comfortable with, again, I will take care of it. I will make sure that we take care of that for you. And then, again, you got to see what the inspector's doing. But most of what I've seen is that most inspectors are following the guidelines pretty well. So virtual tours and in-person showings. I take this opportunity to, again, talk with the seller. I think one thing you'll probably hear, and my sellers hear it, is that, and I have sellers at the end say, wow, one of the things that impressed me was you really geared everything around me. So many times I think we as agents, we get caught up in like what we do, right? But I want to bring that back to the client and what's important to them. So when we talk about showings, I'm going to ask them, are you comfortable with actual showings in person? Most of them are. They do. Even the strictest ones want different guidelines. But most of them have been good understanding that, like, hey, we can do as much virtual as possible, but possibly after a virtual showing, they're going to want to see it face to face. And what precautions would you like me to take? And again, I haven't had any issues with getting access through this, but I would just talk with the clients and see what they're looking to do. And then we talk about the process, because remember, even though we're talking about sellers, we still got to get them through the fact that they're going to be signing a contract. I take this time in the contract to, again, supply them with it. And when it's a seller I'm referring to, talk about all the things specific to the seller. What things convey, what things do not, right? It's assumed to us many times, oh, they already know that. Well, if a TV is mounted and, we know that the TV doesn't stay, but the mount does, but the client does not. So I take that time to go through the contract and point out to them the overview of the process and what that's going to look like. So these are the things that are going to convey. If there's anything that doesn't, I need to know now because I need to exclude it, or we need to get it down and put something up different. But we do talk about the contract and what that means to them, and basically what we can do to protect them and make sure they understand the contract. We explain to them, the next step would be that the buyer's going to wire their earnest money. That's usually done electronically. We go over the inspections again. But again, I am just trying to make sure that they understand throughout the whole process, as much electronically and as much virtual as they prefer, we will do that. And then we talk about closing. And whether it be buyer or seller, I make sure on both sides that they understand closing in Arizona does not mean the day you sit down and sign your documents, or the day you sign your, the closing documents if you're the seller. It refers to the fact that we are funded and recorded, and then the buyer gets their keys and the seller has to be out. And so I take this opportunity to, again, cover what closing means in Arizona, what the property condition needs to look like when they're all done. And we talk about that final step there. And then I do take that chance too to let them know that their proceeds can be sent right to their bank account electronically. And then again, we just talk about, yay, congratulations. We have virtually sold your home with minimal exposure in the house. So that's the overview. Let me just see here. Again, these are the equipments and programs. Looks like we've got it. Oh, there you go. The apps, equipments, and programs. We're going to put that up one more time for you. So we've got that up there. While you guys are getting that down, I'm running obviously very, very early because that's 30 minutes. That's about true to how I talk. Is there some things that you guys want me to cover? We do quite a bit of volume. I've done over 100 homes in the past 12 months. We consistently run in the top with my home group. Is there anything I can answer for you around our process that would help you guys kind of be the best you can right now in this time? I'm going to give you guys a second just to see if there's any questions we've got. I think the one thing that you guys should really, again, focus on doing is being the expert. So making yourself the market expert, and by doing that with data and facts is imperative. Every single agent that works for me, they know that one of my pet peeves is, well, I think, or my opinion. No, no, don't give me your opinion. Give me data. Why, what, how, give me all of that. Because when you can educate a client on the data, they can then make an informed decision. And making informed decisions, especially in an uncertain time for them, again, it's going to put you in a better platform. And that's what makes you their agent for life and not just their agent for right now. So let's see here. Let me get this question. Yeah, so I do use special equipment. Sorry, the question was, when doing the live videos, not to move the camera, do you have special equipment? I do. Like I said, I guess the upside or the downside for the economy is that I've had a lot more shopping to do with all of this equipment. So I do have the new GoPro, the 360. To be fair, I also have a full-time photographer and videographer that follows me around all the time. But when I'm doing virtual showings, I have a gimbal that I can use. Understand with those gimbals, those are basically, there's one you see probably on Facebook called Smooth. That's one brand. There's many brands out there. I have gotten most of my equipment on Amazon. But when I'm doing that, if you're using the gimbal, it's very smooth. It's got face recognition. It's incredible because you can keep things very smooth and not jerky. The only thing with that, though, is that has to be more of a recorded app, because the app you're using to use that gimbal is basically recording the series. So if you want to know, like, I guess as far as feedback goes, I've gotten better feedback from my video walkthroughs of properties using the apps that we talked about, the Marco Polo, and then using that gimbal app. Because again, the video is, absolutely something that they can replay, watch again, show their family. They can get excited about it. It's like that little gift that keeps on giving. They love the home and they get to watch it as much as they want. But I'm not opposed to doing all of the above for clients, which I've done. A selfie stick is kind of the old gimbal where it's going to give you a little bit more flexibility. But as far as, like I said, there's a lot of equipment out there, but we do use special equipment. I remember years ago, the first FaceTime showing I didn't have any equipment, and I was like, okay, let me call you right back because this isn't working. And I had to find a way. So what I found was that I used someone else to help me stabilize the camera as I showcased the home, and we just went slow. Because again, clients want to be able to look at the home and not just get a quick walkthrough of it. They want to feel like they're there. And hold on, I've got another one. Open houses in person. So what did you say about open houses in person? I will tell you that there was a period of about 2 weeks, right when the stay-at-home order hit, just about 2.5 weeks, I said, okay, guys, stop the open houses, right? Like, I do not want to have my signs up, and our signs are like the largest ones you can put up for open houses, and I didn't want to be that agent that was feeling insensitive to what was going on. So we stopped the physical open houses, and a couple of weeks went by, and I talked to a couple of other agents that I know in the market here. I'm a part of different groups, so I talked to them. Even in other states that were kind of further along in this than us, and even more on lockdown than us. And I made the decision, let's go ahead and give it a shot, and put body armor on my agent. No, we didn't, but I did tell my agent, listen, if you get any negative feedback or pushback right away, go ahead and stop it. We'll take it down off the MLS. And surprisingly, I think that very first open house, which was rather early on in this whole thing, he had like 17 people through that day. And we ranged anywhere from 14 to 20, I think 25 or 26 was our highest. But every open house we've done, we've consistently seen good traffic through. And I know this weekend, I think my team's holding 3 or 4 opens at minimum. But we've been pretty busy with showings too. But I do think that as an agent, it's important to have all avenues. Again, it's just like when you invest, you're not going to invest in one platform, you're going to invest in many, so you're well diversified. It's the same thing with your real estate career. I think open houses are crucial, showing homes to your sphere, working your sphere. one of the other things that I can tell you, I have hounded my agents, is to be on the phones. If you were used to spending 6 to 8 hours on the phone, you need to be spending 7 to 14. Double your time on the phones the most you can. People are at home, they're answering the phones. I cannot tell you the amount of conversations that I've had with clients, and even prospective clients that were kind of cold that we couldn't get responses from. We have had tremendous results. And sending those videos out every week about, it's specifically titled, the coronavirus and how it's impacting the Phoenix market. And that blasts out to all of our database. And we've had people that were just cold leads that came in and would respond because people want to know, right? Like the unknown scares people. So I think we started posting that right away, was don't be the face of fear, be the facts. Facts squashes fear. Again, if I can give you data, I can give you numbers, I can give you facts, I become educated in your opinion because I'm giving you those numbers, and then I help you make an educated decision. Checking if there's other questions. I think we did pretty good with our setup here. What you guys don't see is the background. I don't know if any of you saw our Facebook Live, but it's kind of comical when we shoot videos, what goes on behind the scenes, and tripping over lighting, and my assistant almost wiping out all of the equipment sometimes. But we do try to do everything that we can to be very professional on our appearance and everything we do. And I just had somebody comment, Randy, thank you for that. Best Buy is great for gimbals, camera, phone, and GoPro. He's broke several over the years, and they'll replace it, make sure to get the warranty. So that's a great idea. And like I said, yeah, some of the little equipment I've gotten a lot from Amazon. My cameraman handles all of the Best Buy purchases. I tend to stay off that. Amazon's become a very good friend of mine. Just it seems like we need things, and that's where we're able to get it still delivered. But yeah, thank you for that. So Best Buy is another one I know we have purchased a lot. At least I've seen receipts from that I've written off. But we are, we're absolutely trying to take things to a whole new level with that equipment. Okay, we've got 2 others. I have been doing virtual tours. Probably the first one I did here in the Phoenix market was about 5.5 years ago. And I started selling properties. Again, I worked second homes and relocations pretty heavily. And so it was very comforting to the clients that I worked with to know I was listening to their situation, right? And their situation was, I'm stuck in another state. I have to be in Arizona in this amount of time. I can't get out there because I'm working as often as I'd like. How do I get comfortable with my purchase? Because if you don't do that, they're going to rent, right? And they're going to rent for a year, rent for 6 months. And inevitably, you're going to have some of those. You can't change the fact that you'll have some that rent. But for the most part, by showing them and doing virtual showings and getting them comfortable with the market, and then also getting them properties that are specific to area. And then even when I do virtuals, I'll have my assistant hold the phone while we drive through the neighborhood so they can get comfortable with the neighborhood. Again, you're not just buying the house, but you're buying into a neighborhood. So they want to feel like they are comfortable with where they're buying. So I've been doing it in Phoenix, sorry, I don't know if I said Arizona, but in the Phoenix market, it's been about 5.5 years ago. And I used to operate down in Tucson prior to that. And let's see. Where can you get video impact on AZ market? When you're referring to getting video impact on AZ market, and this is to Ron, are you asking specifically about what we do, where we target our marketing online? I just want to make sure I'm answering the correct question there. If that's the case, and if not, I'll answer what it is. But what we do is we target all social platforms, so YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Google pay-per-click and Google Ads, and we target our audience. So depending on what that video is, we target the audience based around that. We spend, a couple $1,000s a month on targeting both those social media platforms and targeting through Google. Oh yeah, so in Boomtown, sorry. So the question you meant was, we sent a video out to our sphere. So we use Boomtown. This, by no means, guys, am I trying to plug equipment or products or any of that. Just know that I've done this a very long time, and I've tried different CRMs, I've tried different equipment, and this is just what we and I have found works the best for me. So I use Boomtown, And in Boomtown, you can send out the BombBomb videos. So you can get BombBomb, which is a video service. We love BombBomb. And you can even put BombBomb on your phone. And I make so we use it for all kinds of things, for all of my video series. I do a weekly real estate tips with Torie. And again, the avenue, or one of the little fingers of that series, has been this coronavirus impact. So typically I post on Thursdays, weekly real estate tips with Torie, and that's a podcast. It's also on YouTube. It's a video series. But we use that and convert it into BombBomb and send it out to our sphere. I believe your sphere should be hearing from you at minimum once a month, even if they closed 5 years ago. If you aren't the face that they see all the time and are recognizing you as the market expert, they'll find someone who is. So BombBomb, I would have you look into that. That's just, I know there's other platforms, but that's what we have found to work the best. We also use BombBomb. If I can't get someone to respond and it's gone through different channels, we pop a BombBomb video. And literally, you would be surprised at the response we get from that, because people, they'll associate your face, that they've met you in their brain, if they see a video of you. So when they see your face, I've had clients pick up the phone that I've never met in person, go, oh yeah, when we met. And I know what they're referring to is that when they saw that video of me. So we use BombBomb for even leads that we can't get responses from. So we'll pop even funny videos. I'm notorious for getting on BombBomb and being like, hey, hi, it's Torie. Hi. Oh, are you watching this video? I haven't been able to get a hold of you. I would love to talk with you. You came in, and then whatever the source is, and I finished my video there. We'll send little crickets out in text and be like, haven't heard from you, but those BombBomb videos can be catchy because they're going to watch them. If they catch, your face, they're going to see what's on that video. And I've been able to get people to respond. But yeah, that's how we get out all of our marketing to our database. All right. I think we're doing good. Is there any other questions? One thing I would encourage you guys to, when I talk about having, the details and the numbers, if I asked you right now today, how many months supply of inventory, how many of you could answer that for me? And that's something that's just one number. I could spit out a ton of numbers, trust me. I never realized I was going to be such a number nerd when I was growing up, but here I am. So one of the things that I'm, very quick to do is answer my clients and be able to explain to them what that means. Okay, right now there are 1.88 months supply of inventory. To be a balanced market, we like to see 3 months supply of inventory. What does that mean? And I explain it to the client. So putting out, when I talk about data, there's specific numbers you should know. How many days on markets average, Valley-wide, 31. Okay, talking about these sort of things, I think is some of the data that will help set you apart. Is there any other questions? You guys got my time. That's pretty rare. All right. So I'm going to just give you my email and my phone number. And I think we've got a slide with that just in case. Do we have there we go. So that one, that's my main business line. Yeah, let me give you guys my cell phone. There's my email on that. My cell phone is 602-824-2196. I'm going to place that in the chat just in case. But that's my cell phone. If you have any questions, if there was something you missed and my assistant needs to get it back out to you, or my email is torie@theellensteam.com. But again, guys, I'm always here. One of my big things is mentorship and training. That's what sets my team apart, is that my agents are personally coached by me and trained under me and with me. So we try to do that and make ourselves a little bit different. But anyhow, thank you guys so much for joining me. And Kelly, thank you for inviting me. Love all the support at my home group. There could not be a better brokerage out there. If there's anything I can do for you guys, I'm here to help.
Thanks, Torie.
All right, you guys have an amazing week. Go win the day.